That's possible. Or just a line, probably not an actual chat. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so we could probably, if we could trace that line back to whatever box it joins into, we could probably eliminate that entire line. And that may be where.
Are they through, Bruce?
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
we're
you can go
finished.
sit.
Okay,
Come on in.
thank you.
Bruce, this is Roland, what's your last name?
McCarthy.
McCarthy, that's right. Bruce
City
is-
manager from the city of Fort Lee.
And Bruce is from Oglethorpe, Macon County, was the mayor
Actually,
of Oglethorpe.
still there, yeah.
Still mayor.
Still calling the shots, so.
So have to see anyway. But anyway, yeah, we're moving forward because we sold the farm.
Sure.
It's just too much. It's just too much. Look, why? His knees, he cannot.
Well, we just take
Don't
one of
think he
these.
can do is come around and run. Or that's where it's spread out. So we have gone out.
It is a big old fat, I mean, goodness gracious.
Okay.
In that community there.
These are extra from the executive meeting.
Oh, they are.
That's-
He goes to the over here then. But one, she's had a stroke.
Nope.
This one goes to Caroline Church.
I'm virtually challenged in everything I do.
Oh,
Vertically challenged. Just born too short. Well, I understand that.
Guard Jimmy Carr.
Will Gerald Nixon be here today?
Yes, ma'am, he should be there.
Yes,
I just want to talk to him before we leave.
Okay, Collins.
Yeah.
Ours is right next door to Miss Weaver.
Okay.
You know,
Well,
her, yeah, she built a house.
Okay.
Like, and her two sons live down the road in another subdivision.
Good morning, everyone. This is Jim Livingston in the Columbus office. We are about 5 minutes out from starting our RVRC council meeting. We are muting folks as they come online, but just bear with us and we'll get everybody squared away. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Good morning, everyone. This is Jim Livingston. It's 10:28. We will get started in just minutes. I see Dr. Sumner is on the line. Thank you for that. Folks in America, it's good to see you. Wells, Ms. Barty, great to see you all.
Morning, y'all. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Here to the River Valley Regional Council meeting here in Columbus, Georgia at RVC. I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order this June 23rd, 2181 at 10:30 a.m. This time we'll open the floor for any recognition of any special guests that's here in the audience today or out there in Zoom land.
I will add folks here in the Columbus office. You see Randy Howard and Pops Barnes here at the front table. Also in the room with us is Melvin Crimes from Webster County, Damon Chattahoochee County, Tom Queen from Taylor County, B. Williams from Stewart County. We also have staff, and thank goodness we got Neos and Matt here too to help us navigate all this. We also have in this, with us, Sarah Lynn Stafford here in the Columbus office. This for the folks in Americas. John, if you wouldn't mind unmuting and let everybody know who's in Americas.
Here and look around.
Yeah.
Roland McCarthy with the city of Cordele.
Jeannie Barty with the city of Cordele.
Bruce Hill, City of Oglethorpe.
Jason Griffin, private industry, Macon County. Mark Wilkes, Marion County.
Thank you all, and I think you all can see the other folks that are on in Zoom land, as Randy calls it. Anybody else that we need to recognize? Dr. Sumner, thank you for joining us. Glad to see you.
Glad to be here. Thank you.
Well, we want to welcome everybody here, regardless of how you got in touch with us today. Just be sure you check your listing next minute to be sure that you got credit for that. Make sure we didn't miss you at all. This time I'm going to call on Pops for our invitation.
Let's pray. Most gracious and glorious Father, blessed be your holy name, Father. Truly thank you, Father, for waking us up this morning, for granting us to be clothed in our right minds, Father, for blessing our loved ones with health and us with health, and for bringing as always, we ask you, Father, to be merciful on us, to give us the wisdom to carry us through the business that we have today. We also ask, Father, that because you have been so good to us, so merciful to us, that you prompt us to think about those, Father, who are less fortunate than we are, and just stop us, Father, throughout the day to say the shortest, most powerful prayer, Lord, have mercy. And Father, last but not least, we always ask you to move forward with your almighty arm and protect the women and men who wear the military uniforms of our armed forces, and who protect the mighty and precious freedoms that we have. But not only that, Father, visit the homes of their loved ones who are filled with worry and anxiety because they're in harm's way. And let them feel the pride that they need to feel in their hearts for those heroes that are protecting our freedoms. And as always, we approach your almighty throne of grace to the majestic name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. It's through his name that we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Bob, this time, please stand. Bruce Hill will lead us. I pledge to the flag.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Be seated.
This time, we have mailed out the, email y'all out, you sent out the minutes for y'all review of the approval of the April 28, 21, and May 26 minutes. One thing will be sure to look at those, be sure your name's on there if you attended. If not, please let us know. Also look in the future too. At this time, does anyone see anything that we need to change or add, delete, or any comments about the minutes? If not, I need a motion for the approval of the April 28 and May 26, 21 minutes. Do I have a motion for approval?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? If not, call for a vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. All right, it's carried. At this time, I'll turn on the next speaker, guest, great speaker, over to Jim Livingston.
So, there we go. So I wanted to introduce Dr. Sumner. She is the Dean of the Medical College at Mercer University, and we're grateful for all the work that Mercer is doing in this region. I want to give her an opportunity to talk to us a little bit. First, Miss Dr. Sumner down in Fort Gaines as they open the clinic down there, and there's a lot of work happening here that she in Mercer School of Medicine is involved with. I really appreciate that. One of the things about Dr. Sumner is her heart is here with us in rural Georgia. In particular, the work she does around Sandersville, Washington County, and Jefferson County. So I appreciate you coming on board and look forward to hearing from you, Dr. Sumner.
Well, thank you very much. And I appreciate the opportunity to talk a little about Mercer and our commitment to West Georgia and Southwest Georgia and to Columbus. Mercer, the School of Medicine has been here about 40 years. And we were created because of the dire need for rural Georgia to have physicians. Urban areas need physicians as well, but they need physicians that will see everyone. The problem in rural areas is there are no physicians now. There are very few. And so we're committed to that mission. About 10 years ago, the city of Columbus, some leaders from Columbus came to the president of Mercer and said, we'd like to have a medical school in Columbus. And to do that is a big undertaking. There are a lot of boxes that got to be checked. And if Mercer's going to do something, Mercer wants to do it as well or better than anybody. They're committed. And once they commit, they're going to, and that's before me, it has nothing to do with me, but they're serious about it. And so we were able to start a clinical campus in Columbus, which has been there about 8 years and has done very well. And this fall, we've already accepted 30 young people, and most are from the West Georgia area who will enter our class in Columbus, and that number will grow to have 60 students in each class, for a total of 240 medical students in Columbus. And we're building a building right there in near the Chattahoochee. It's going to be a beautiful building. But our concern overall is bringing resources to West Georgia. And as was mentioned, I've spent my life in Sanders. I'm from Sandersville. I grew up in a family that's practiced medicine in Washington County for about 200 years. I care deeply about rural health. I married my husband, who is from Johnson County. So Sandersville's been fortunate. We've had good health care. But Johnson County was the other extreme. We had no health care. So a period of time, I was the only doctor in Johnson County in Wrightsville, Georgia. I believe passionately that you need the best doctors in rural communities. I also believe that quality doctors can make a huge difference if they're community responsive. They improve educational outcomes in children because you have healthier children. They improve outcomes for the community because they may not be the person that treats your heart attack if they're in Clay County, but they're the person that you touch base with that facilitates you getting to the right person at the right time and make sure you get the care you need when you come home. So having a physician in a rural community is about a $2.5 million industry if you look at the ramifications of that over time. But more importantly to us, it makes a difference. It improves health status, it improves quality of life, it brings in the ability to recruit industry because of economic development, because you have quality health care. So Mercer is here and we've been educating physicians, but we realized about 5 years ago with the challenges of rural hospitals, that our students who are very committed to our mission and very bright and very well educated didn't have a place to go. There were many communities that had no opportunity. And so we developed a plan to start clinics in some of the most underserved areas of Georgia. Our purpose was not to interfere with care that was there because we don't want to undermine an infrastructure that's already present. We were willing to go to places that people said, you'll never be successful there. But our first clinic was in Plains, Georgia, and that's Jimmy Carter is a trustee. They lost the doctor in Plains. He called our president, President Underwood, and said, I need a doctor. And in a week, when he hadn't gotten his doctor, he called back and said, where's my doctor? And so at that point, the president called and said, you know, that plan you've been talking about with clinics, I think we need to roll our first one out in Plains. And so in a matter of about 6 to 8 weeks, we worked with Better Hometown Plains and the community to set up the first Mercer Medicine Clinic. Now, I'll be honest, when President Carter called me, he said, Gene, I've got this great little building that y'all can lease from us from Better Hometown Plains. And so we made a trip to Plains. And if you grew up in rural Georgia, you know what I'm talking about. It looked like a concession stand at a football game on Friday night. It was concrete block. It was painted lime green. And the previous person who had rented that building had stripped it of everything from the towel dispensers to the toilet paper rolls. He had taken the electrical outlets out. So Mercer took that building, refurbished it using local contractors, local providers, because we believe in being part of a community. Refurbished it, put in a quality x-ray machine, put in telehealth, hired a local physician, hired a nurse practitioner, recruited one of our graduates who was an OBGYN to work part-time for doing women's health services. And before we opened our door, we were booked for 4 months. That was a problem for us because I expect every Mercer clinic to do same-day appointments. If you have a sore throat today, you shouldn't have to wait. If you have a fever, somebody needs to see you. If you're 105, somebody needs to make a house call. And, you know, we want to be a comprehensive, high-quality clinic system. And so we went into the community and we did what was called a comprehensive community needs assessment. When we do that, we really knock on doors and talk to the community about what they need and what they see is important to them, because every community in Georgia is different. Everyone has strengths and everyone has weaknesses, but we want to know what we're dealing with and what the community believes. And so we engage the community. It was a little entertaining to me as somebody who grew up in rural Georgia and loves rural Georgia to take some of our faculty that may be from California or Washington State, and they were a little leery of going to this small community because they didn't know anybody, and they said, I don't think we'll be received. And I said, you know, you won't find a better place in rural Georgia. And truthfully, it's the only community needs assessment we've ever done that got 100% of the residents of the community, because the ladies and the civic groups and the Dollar General all chipped in. And we knocked on every door and gathered that data. And in a few years, we'll look back and see, have we made progress? Have we addressed the needs? Have we improved the health status? But I can tell you that once we establish a clinic, we're committed and we're not leaving. We're there. And we're going to bring in the best doctors we can bring in and work with the local system. So we made friends with the system in America. So we tried to reach out to other providers. We don't want to undermine anybody's practice. We want to help grow that area. Because of that experience, we had a call from a gentleman who'd been working in a rural underserved community for about 25 years. And he said, I'm ready. I'm approaching retirement. I tried to recruit a doctor. I can't do that. Can you help me? So he gave us his practice and he stayed and worked for us, and he will retire this year. But we have hired another physician to fill in for him who's great. She lives 2 miles from where he was. He didn't even know she was there. She's on our faculty, and we have a nurse practitioner and a fully staffed clinic there. Because of that, the state called us and said, would you take a look at Clay County? And, you know, I think I know a little about Georgia because I spent my life here and I've driven all over it, but I'd never been to Clay County, or at least not that I knew of. And I was struck with the goodness of the people, the beauty of the landscape, but the absolute need for healthcare. I mean, just dramatically needed. So we partnered with the community, and we always try to partner with the community. You know, people see you, and if you're in rural Georgia, you know what I'm talking about. You're seen as an outsider or some corporate entity. We can't do this alone. We need buy-in from the community. We need, you know, the community to say, we need you, we'll help you, we'll support you, we'll say you're a good person, you know, if you are. And so we partnered with a group of individuals in Clay County who had gotten a grant, and with our guidance, they refurbished the hospital there, the old hospital, and we put in state-of-the-art x-ray lab. We hired a physician. We used local contractors. We hired a nurse, a PA, and we put in telehealth. And telehealth allows you to bring in additional services and help. We have another potential plan for Clay County that we have the potential to bring in some telehealth services, sees patients who have no insurance in off hours so that they can get the care they need, and then they bring them into the clinic. So we have lots of plans to help grow that in Clay County. But that clinic has been very successful. We see a lot of patients every day. And as I told them, when we come, we're there and we're not leaving. We're not going to be a clinic who comes and just sees insured patients. And we see everybody that needs us, and we'll do whatever we can to help the community. Because our goal is to long-term to develop a healthy Clay County and a healthy region, and to be accessible to those individuals. So it's meaningful. And if you were at the ribbon cutting, I met a woman who was one of the vice presidents of an international insurance organization and had a presence in Georgia. And I met her in Miami, Florida. And then in talking with her, she said, I'm originally from Clay County. And her father had been an orderly at that hospital when it was open, and her mother had run the kitchen at the hospital. And the father was 99 years old, and he cut our ribbon on that day because, and his expression to me was, I've worked for all these years to get health care back in Clay County. And so that was a meaningful experience. We were contacted by Putnam County. Now, Putnam County is Edenton, Georgia, and you think, well, Edenton's close to Lake Oconee. And Lake Oconee is a rather financially well-appointed area. It's Greene County. But there are about 4,000 rich people around Lake Oconee, and there are 115,000 average and below average income people in Putnam County. So our next clinic went into Putnam County with the help of a foundation that was there, and we refurbished a clinic, and we had an outstanding physician. She's family medicine with added qualifications in geriatrics, which was certainly an area of need. We'll hire a PA or a nurse practitioner, but one of our graduates is going to join her in Putnam County in September. A young man who is just a great young man. He's an internist. She's family medicine, so we're going to expand services there. And then we were contacted by Harris County to look at Harris County. And I was surprised. It's a beautiful part of Georgia that I'd been to as a child over at the Callaway Gardens, but they needed health care. And so working with that community, we're going to move into what was the library, and it's being refurbished to make it a state-of-the-art clinic. We're open to going anywhere in Georgia there's a need. And we get a lot of calls from people who say, we'd like a Mercer clinic. Well, but you find out they have 10 doctors and they don't really need you. We want to go where other people say, well, you'll never be successful there. You know, we will be successful because bringing healthcare changes a community. care that is community responsive, changes people's ability to have a job, to stay at home and to find work, because industry will follow, as I said. And so Mercer is a service organization. We're serious. The only thing the president told me, and he probably doesn't like me saying this, is don't lose too much money. Well, I've never seen any hungry doctors or doctors without cars. And so our goal is to break even wherever we are, but more important is to make a difference. Now, I'm from rural Georgia, and lots of people showed up in my little town to say, I'm here to help you. But they went away. And so I'm very sensitive to the fact that if we start a clinic, we're not going away. We're going to find a way to make it work. We're going to find a way to make a difference. We call on the communities to help us in that we need them to say, I'll use this clinic. America has a funny opinion of healthcare, and they think if they go to a specialist, they'll get better care. Really, every one of us, including me, needs a primary care doctor that picks up the phone, talks to me when I need him, sees me the day I need to call him. If you look at Georgia and the COVID response, and look at it, at one point in the pandemic, Georgia had 6 counties that were in the top 20% of percentage of deaths from COVID. Many of those counties was West and Southwest Georgia. And if you look at commonalities in those counties, they're all rural. They all had no primary care to speak of. They were all communities of color. My goal is to go into those counties and bring the best possible health care we can bring to those counties to help them be healthy, to help them have a better quality of life, to help them attract industry and development, and to help improve the educational system for our children. So Mercer's committed. The president started out with, we'll have as many clinics as we need. He was at 70 and I was at 20. So we met in the middle, and we're somewhere between that. We're open to more. It takes us about $300,000 to $400,000 to put a clinic in. And so Mercer is a private university. We're using Mercer money to do this. We're state funded, but we're private, but the state funds our medical school because we only accept Georgians. We preferentially accept rural Georgians. And we expect our students to be community responsive physicians in rural communities. But so we ask community help in that. But once we've opened that clinic, you can count on us to be there, unless you run us out of town, and I hope you won't do that. But we're planning to be good partners with whatever community we work with. So I'm glad to answer any questions, and I'm open to anything you want to say or discuss.
Does anyone have a question for Dr. Simpson? Please, somebody do it.
You may want to remind them.
We have to unmute.
Dr. Senator, it sounds like we have a big back here. I'll be short. But thank you for the footprint you're putting in Central and West Central Georgia.
Well, I'll invite you to the grand opening of the Columbus campus. I can tell you that the students that we have coming in there are some of our very best students. I called a young man who has an outstanding grade point average and an outstanding medical college admission test. The other day he got in off, we have 10 qualified, and I say qualified because they have to be from Georgia and they have to have a certain amount of academic education. I called him about going to Columbus and asked him if he wanted a spot, and he couldn't stop screaming. He said, Columbus, he thought he'd won the lottery. Columbus is a great community. West Georgia has I was looking at some data this week that showed that Southwest Georgia, and I tried to find it right before this call, and I couldn't find it, but I will, had 10 times the rate of stroke related to metropolitan Atlanta. That's unacceptable. And if you think of the number one driver of stroke, it's hypertension, high blood pressure. That's unexcusable. We can control blood pressure. And in controlling blood pressure, we can decrease the risk of stroke. And that's why you need primary care doctors to make a difference in your area. So we're committed to that. We'd love to work with you. Please feel free to call me. I'm glad to answer any other questions.
Just a comment. Doctor, this is Councilor Popon. You do not know how enthusiastic the citizens of Columbus are about Mercy. We are super excited. Mercy does have a reputation for providing care to those who have no health care or are limited. So we are excited, and all of us will be at the grand opening. So welcome, Mercy.
Thank you very much. And we are truly honored by the invitation. And you know, we wouldn't be there without the support of Columbus in that region. We wouldn't be there without them. It takes all of us to change this state for the better. And we're committed to be a solid partner to adding value to the region. And we'll be there for the long haul. Mercer will be there forever. I may not be there forever for sure, but you know, you'll see that I'm telling you straight. They are committed as an institution to be in there and to honor our word. And we've given our word, and we'll be the best possible partner that we can be.
Dr. Sumner?
Yes.
Oh, my name is Julie Brown. I'm the mayor of Hamilton in Harris County. And I want you to know we really appreciate y'all coming in. I look forward to not having to run to Columbus to the doctor. Sorry, Columbus. But it'll be nice to have somebody local that we can go to.
You know,
thank you.
I'm so excited about Hamilton. And, you know, doctors think they compete. They don't compete. You know, there are plenty of patients, and Columbus will still take out your gallbladder or hope you never have a heart attack. But, you know, there's a reason for that, for regionalization. But I practiced in Johnson County, and it's easy for health systems to say, well, you've got a doctor in the next county. The patients I took care of had no way to get there. You know, we fuss about patients overutilizing the ER. Well, in my county, there was no doctor. Nobody answered the phone after 5 o'clock. You can't even get a hamburger in Johnson County after 5 o'clock. So, you know, we can change rural Georgia together, and we want to be a good partner for Hamilton. But my experience with the Columbus community and the hospitals there is they see it as an asset. That it, you know, I was on the phone with some leaders in stroke, and that's where my data came from this week. And they were saying we need more ICU beds. You know, and I'm the only person going, no, we need more doctors to prevent strokes, to keep you from having to build more ICU beds. And so we got to get that foundational health care in this state again. We used to have it, but it's gone away. But we're building it back. So thank you for the opportunity. Hamilton's been a great partner. Harris County's been a great partner. I've enjoyed my 6 or 7 trips over there, and it's really a great community. So thank you for that opportunity.
We have a question from here in Americas.
Dr. Sumner, I'm Jeannie Barty from the city of Cordell. I would just like to have your phone number if you would mind.
Oh, okay. My phone number is 478-301-4022. And that's my office, but I answer my phone. If you want my cell phone, I'll give you that. I tell you, I live in the country, and at night, truthfully, I have no cell coverage. So
this will be sufficient. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, John.
All right, Dr. Sumner, we appreciate it very much, your input, and also Mercer. You've been a blessing to a lot of us in small rural counties and all, and we appreciate what you've done for us. But, you know, healthcare is very important to all of us, and a lot of communities, especially small communities, lost their doctors, their dentists, and everything. But people like you stepping up there, you're immersed with these clinics, saving a lot of lives and giving us good health care, and I appreciate that very much.
Well, soon with the addition of Columbus, I'll have 150 young Georgians looking for a job. And so I want to make West Georgia and Southwest Georgia the healthiest part of this state. So that's my goal. And, you know, so that's the goal of Mercer, not just me. We're serious about it. Our students are serious about it, but it wouldn't happen without your support and your partnership. So please let us know how we can help, okay?
Thank you very much.
Pleasure to be with you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye now. This time we go from healthcare over to the military. This time we're gonna talk to Department of Defense Fort Benning project today. And this, if you don't mind, give us an update on your project you're working on.
I'm pleased to give you an update today. I hope everybody can hear me. Allison's going to drive my PowerPoint for me. So we'll get that set up while I'm just making a few opening remarks. And the first thing I want to say is I'm thrilled to be here, but my goodness, following Dr. Sumner, really, somebody I have admired ever since I met her probably 20 years ago now. She has never wavered in her support for rural Georgia and bringing that basic health care back into the communities. So I'm pleased to see the update on the clinics. Y'all are lucky to have something coming, part of their school here to Columbus. And I think it'll benefit from what I'm going to talk about today, which is the Fort Benning local government's compatible development and conservation plan. And this is something that Darren Davis with the Nature Conservancy and myself came and talked to you about one of the meetings we had in Buena Vista before the pandemic. And because we are fortunate to be receiving some funding to do this from the Department of Defense, it took nearly 2 years to get through that process, but it was well worth it. And we are getting ready to really kick this off now. We are doing a kickoff event for this activity tomorrow at the National Infantry Museum.
I'm just checking to make sure they can hear you.
I know. At the National Infantry Museum from 1 to 3. And this activity is about the rural communities of Chattahoochee, Marion, Stewart, Taylor, Talbot, and the rural area of Russell County. And you should be seeing a map right now that kind of lays that out. The counties that are outlined in orange are the ones that are going to be involved in this planning process. You can see that Harris and Muskogee are also shown, and we anticipate that when we get to the regional part of this planning process, we'll bring them in as our partners. But this is really about the rural communities and the rural communities that are being affected and will be further affected by the Army compatible use buffer. And what we're going to be doing is helping these rural communities figure out how to create jobs, create new investment, bring new opportunities, and improve the quality of life within those rural counties while using compatible development. So part of what we'll be doing, as you can see, we have all the counties plus Fort Benning showing as feeding into this process. So, and they are in alphabetical order, not geographic order. So nobody get confused that Russell looks like it's in Georgia in this slide. But we're going to be bringing all of this community engagement in to design plans that can be implemented to help create the jobs, the investment that we want in our communities. And through this process, we're going to build new relationships, enhance the community connections, because a lot of us don't know each other. And I'm saying us because I'm going to be over here so much, I've got a domicile lined up. Together, we'll then address some existing challenges that have come from the compatible use conservation land. We will develop new strategies to take advantage of having that beautiful landscape to work in, and we will come up with compatible use activities to bring some new money into the region. I'm really excited about it. A couple of the things that Dr. Sumner said about the beauty of the landscape, the kindness of the people, and the community buy-in and involvement, they all work right into this process as well. These are things that are going to be important in what we're doing. Our project timeline, we're kicking it off this week. The first part of our process is doing data collection, doing research, and doing some fiscal analysis, and looking at the possibilities for fiscal impact of various compatible development strategies. We're going to bring all that information into each of these individual 6 counties and the people at Benning, because there's 120,000 people that live and work on the base. So they are a big potential audience for whatever we do within these rural counties. And they might have some good ideas that come from all over the world. So we're going to see what their ideas are too. We're going to bring all of that together. We're going to present this data. We're going to be able to find out what has fiscal impact been of the activities of putting land into conservation. Is it positive? Have we brought more into tax base than we have lost? Or is it the other way? Whatever that is, that's what we're going to say. This is it. Because that gives us a starting point. What do we need to do to bring more revenue into these counties so they can provide the services that the people want? So real important part. Then we're going to do the community engagement. We'll be doing individual community engagement in each of those communities. We'll help develop strategies, visions, goals, and most importantly, I think, we're going to identify the funding to make those plans get implemented. We're not just going to let you get away with, walk out with a plan that sounds real good. We're going to actually identify where the funds are to make the plans happen. And that'll be exciting. We'll take that up to the regional level once we've done all the individual counties and see where the commonalities are. See where the pieces are that we can work on together, because the collaboration across the region will be more impactful. And honestly, if we can get the folks in Muskogee County out into the rural counties, you know, there's your customer base. There's, you know, what do we do to get them out here in our rural counties to spend some of their money? As a truly needed portion of the Army's Joint Land Use Study, this plan will update that study that was originally done in 2008. So it'll be an official part of the Department of Defense Joint Land Use Study for the Benning area. And then we'll adopt and deploy the plan. This is all sort of a 18-month to 24-month process, because it's going to take that long to get that good engagement. But we get to kick off tomorrow. And Pops is going to represent all of you at our ceremony. Yay. The Department of the Office of Local Defense Community Cooperation from the Department of Defense is actually funding this work. So no out of pocket from anybody in the region on this. Department of Defense is going to make sure this happens. The contract is with the River Valley Regional Commission. And then the River Valley Regional Commission has chosen to work with the Carl Vinson Institute of Government to do the work. So we're excited to be a partner in this. We're so glad it's getting ready to kick off. If any of you in the affected counties, the counties that are going to be involved in this, want some more information, we have actually set up an email that you can email us to get some more information. It is rivervalleyccd@uga.edu. We're going to have a website soon where we'll post all the meeting dates and we'll put all this information on the website. We're working on it. We didn't want to start really until we knew for sure the Department of Defense was ready to start paying us. I know y'all can understand that. But the way to get started is to quit talking and begin doing, as Walt Disney said. So tomorrow we start doing. I want to show you one of those semi-compatible uses. What you see here is the view out of my daughter's patio. So over in Fort Mitchell, there's a lot of development, housing development, and a lot of it is military because it comes right off of the West Gate over into Alabama, and it's really convenient. It takes only 5 minutes to get to work from there for military folks. So that's where my daughter and her husband, who's military, settled. This was last night. We got to watch all these paratroopers jumping out of airplanes. It was beautiful, all the way through the sunset. Now, I find that beautiful. People who are not military might not find that beautiful. The military may not like the fact that there's so many houses close to that jump field. You know, so that's one of the things that could go either way. If somebody bought into that neighborhood that wasn't a military person and wasn't patriotic, perhaps, They might not like having those low-flying planes and the soldiers jumping out. We were all thrilled. And that's it for this program, but I would be remiss if I did not tell you about this. This is for all your local governments. Carl Vinson Institute is doing a series of Funding the Future, Investing in Your Community with RVRC. So how to account for the funds that you're going to receive from the federal government, how to spend them properly so that you can account for them properly. The first one is June the 29th, and it's full, but the very next one is going to be on July the 13th, and that's that red box at the bottom. So if any of you are not signed up for the one on the 29th and are still interested, you can go to Carl Vinson's website and see the detailed agenda and register for the one coming up on July the 13th. And I really appreciate the opportunity to share this information, both for the Institute and on behalf of the River Valley Regional Commission that we're going to be working with so closely. Thank you.
Ms. Harris. Any questions? I have one question over there.
I got one. Melvin Crown in Webster County. Stewart and Webster are like sisters and brothers.
True.
Wow, Webster was included.
Because it doesn't adjoin the base property.
Okay.
That's really the bottom line on that. We do know that everything that happens in Stewart affects Webster and vice versa. And so when we're doing the regional part of this plan, I think a lot of the outcomes are going to be complementary and implementable in more than one of in more than just the 5 communities in Georgia that we are working with.
Any other questions? If not, thank you. Go ahead.
I will add this. I would strongly encourage all of the governments to follow what's going on with the American Recovery Plan, the mechanisms for following that. I know you guys are all looking at that. I know you're getting a lot of help from GMA and ACCG and Carl Vinson. It is going to be complicated, but it is going to be impactful. This is real dollars that will make a real generational difference in your community. So please be sure that you're tracking what the rules are on this. I'll also mention this, the comprehensive plans that you all do. It's a great place to look. If you are trying to figure out projects, it's a great place to go back and look. One of the reasons we do the comprehensive plans is in case there is generational funding that becomes available. So I'll encourage you all to go back and look at that. So thank you, Sarah Lynn, for everything. Thank you for including that.
All right, we're going to go ahead and move on. If there's no more questions to the TO roundtable. Mr. Carvel, or you again will make a comment on that?
Carvel, I'll give you a second. Are you on the line?
Go ahead, Jim.
I'll go ahead and give everybody an update. We have received from local governments in this region, I think it's about 139 different projects. So we believe we received everything. We are working, those projects are now with GDOT. They're doing a physical analysis of those projects. The Roundtable Executive Committee meets again next week to talk through those projects and just sort of begin the process. We will not have a completed analysis from GDOT next week. We're just going to get that started.
Carvel's just come back in.
So I will, looks like Carvel, are you there? You may be put on the spot here to talk about TIO.
He's muted.
Carvel, you need to unmute.
Unmute. There he goes.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
What did you need me to say, Jim?
Say good things, Carvel.
The executive committee for the TIO Roundtable will meet next Wednesday, and that will be our jumping off meeting. Hopefully it won't get too contentious, but we have a little over $1 billion in proposed projects. We only have about $399 million to fund local projects, but we're going to look at a list of projects based upon definition or category, and try our very best to dwindle it down to what we need it to be.
Thank you, sir.
Anything else? All right, let's see if we move on next to the River Valley RC nominating committee report. I'm gonna call on Mr. Pop Barnes.
Well, it was really necessary. We have a heartbreaker here, and that is the chair here, Randy, who has really helped me and mentored me and educated me and kept me on my P's and Q's and sent me all types of information. It's a 2-year position. And I'm facing this with very much trepidation, because being the vice chair, they were gracious enough to say, would you be the chair? So you can never replace someone like a Randy Howard, but I will do my best. And there were other 2 positions, so we had to get a nominating committee together. And the nominating committee for vice chair chose to nominate Tamika Harris. And Carla, are you still there?
He's muted. He's still there, but he's muted.
And Mr. Carvel Lewis. So Tamika Harris is vice chair, Mr. Carvel Lewis as secretary have been nominated by the committee. I'm pretty much on. Yep.
I'm still here, Pop. I had the embalming machine on. I'm sorry.
Embalming machine. That's a good. It said the embalming machine on it.
Carvel, you ought to stop. And so those are the members who have been nominated by the nominating committee.
I will add Melvin Crimes and Chip Jones were on that nominating committee, and appreciate
Yeah,
your work
yes,
on
and
that as
appreciate
well.
you, Melvin, and for all the work that you've done. It was last minute. Bruce Hill, due to personal reasons, I will not be able to be the secretary, and so that was our last minute. So I really appreciate you all meeting together and coming up with the names, taking valuable time out of your schedules.
I, for one, appreciate the nominating committee. Like I said, the work they went into it at the very last moment. They did a good job. We got some top candidates here. They'll be officers for the future. I think that we'll be hitting the ground running. You know, our next meeting is going to be in August, and it's going to be over there in Buena Vista again. And in July, we're not going to meet, but when we start back, we'll be in person. Plus, Jim's trying to working on some Zoom too, in case those who love that, you know, stay in person meeting. But we will try to work up something. But anyway, I'm looking forward to them down and see what Mr. Pop Barnes can do for the future there. But anyway, I think you have a good chairman and vice chair and secretary, you know. And they're good, very good folks. They're very hardworking folks in their city and counties, and I appreciate those at all. And I think we'll continue to move forward for the future on that. Anything else, Paul? Anything else?
Except I'm going to go on record saying I'm going to have you on speed dial. That's what I want on record right there.
Oh, at this time, I'm going to ask for a motion for the approval of the officers that have been nominated by this committee, and that will be Pop Barnes for chairman, Tamika Harris for vice chair, and Secretary Carl Lewis. Do I have a motion for approval? I have a motion.
I'll second.
I have a second. Any discussion? Not call the vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, congratulations to each and every one of you.
Thank you all very much.
Well, we'll go ahead and move on. The next one is a review and approval of the fiscal year 20 annual report. And call on Mr. Joe Hickson.
Emily. Oh, I'm sorry.
We got, you know,
I messed you up.
Annual report.
Annual report. Sorry. Gerald, you on?
Gerald?
They are muted.
Jerry, got to unmute.
I've approached the microphone, Mr. Chairman.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, earlier this year, the staff prepared basically a report card of our progress implementing the regional plan document that y'all adopted back in 2018. The technical term for this report card is an annual report. We identified our progress achieving the numerous items that are included in the work program. We have to go through this through a formal process. We have satisfied that process. Back in March, I think it was, y'all authorized submission of the draft report card, Department of Community Affairs. Over the past 45, 60 days, they performed their formal review. They responded that we've satisfied all the requirements of the law and the regulations, and you are now in position to adopt the plan or adopt this annual report. This is, as that term suggests, an annual event. We'll be having to do the same thing this time next year. But at the moment, we've done everything that's required and suggest that we adopt this annual report.
All right, thank you, Gerald. Appreciate it. I need a motion for approval of the fiscal year 21 annual report that was presented by Gerald Dixon. Do we have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second here. Any discussion? Not call for a vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carried. All right, let's move on to review and approval of fiscal year 22 budget by Ms. Emily.
Good morning, everyone. I am here to present the FY22 budget, which, as you know, FY22 begins in just a few days. So we are gearing up for a new year. This budget proposal comes with the recommendation of the executive committee who met this morning, and we discussed it in detail. So I'll just hit the highlights for you. This budget predicts a $37,592 increase in fund balance in our general fund, and a $28,420 increase in net position in our loan funds, which is listed as enterprise funds there. The budget accounts for all of our federal and state contracts that we know about at this time, including the DoD project that Sarah Lynn was talking about. That'll span 2 years of our budget. So you'll see it on page 3, I believe, 4, I'm sorry. We have $225,000 in here for that this year. And as far as the special revenue funds go, which is our federal and state awards, the general fund will provide $113,000 that is needed to cover our matches on those grants and any expenditures over revenues that we have. We have also included here a 1% cost of living increase for our employees across the board, and additional merit increases based on our employee performance evaluations that we did a couple of months ago. This is a pretty conservative estimate, so I feel like we're in good shape and we'll probably do even better than this. As the year progresses, we should get more contracts and grants. And that is the presentation. If anybody has any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Does anyone have any questions of Ms. Emily? If not, I need for a approval for a motion to approval of the fiscal year 21 annual report. The executive committee went over this morning in length with our discussion. I need a motion for approval. Do we have something on the floor?
Motion to approve.
Have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? Not call for the vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Thank you. Motion carried. All right, and then move on next to the staff report. Ms. Emily, you want to go ahead and continue on?
Sure, Mr. Chairman. Very briefly, through April 30, we have a net increase in fund balance in the general fund of about $125,000, and an increase in net position of $28,000 in the enterprise funds. At April 30th, we had operating cash on hand of $714,000 and unassigned fund balance of $906,759. And all of those numbers are a little bit ahead of budgets, but we should be right on track for budgets. I've already looked at May, and we're looking good for the rest of the year. Hopefully, again, we'll have a clean audit. Audit should be on time this year. We got delayed quite a bit last year, but that is all I have, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Emily. Any questions, Summer?
No question, just comment. Emily, thank you for all that you do for keeping us on the good foot, as they always say, fiscally. I know that takes an awful lot of work considering the impact that the pandemic has had here. So just want to just make a comment. I appreciate all that you do.
And I'll add Tammy to that too. It takes a village to keep us together. So, thank you.
Appreciate y'all very much. All right, move on, Ms. Katie.
You're on camera.
Okay, so this is where y'all want me?
That's it.
That's fine.
Okay, cool. Well, I'm taking a point of personal privilege. Sarah Lynn, one of those parachutes dropping down. Years ago, that was my husband was one of those, and then he taught them and pushed them out the door when they were going. Literally, I'll tell you stories later. Yeah, that's why he's not in the Army anymore. But for seniors, everything is going pretty well. We have started our senior farmers markets. This is our second week of those. We'll finish those up in July, and then we'll have our big event, our community senior market at the office in August. I'm not sure exactly when that date is to be determined. But if you know of seniors who are low to moderate income in your communities, let me know and I'll send you applications. You do have to fill out an application and send it in before the market, because otherwise we can't get the checks done, because there's literally a voucher system that has to be done. So there has to be pre-registration. For that community market, it'll be the same one that we have here at the office. If you bring me a form on that day, we can't serve you. If you bring us that form the day before, we probably can't serve you, just because we have to have time to enter it into the computer. We had our drive-through event last month here at the office. We had about 300 people, including the vendors. It was very successful, thanks to the non-aging staff like Becky and Debbie and other people here that helped us. I think it turned out really well. We're getting pretty good at these drive-through events, but I'll be honest with you, I'm hoping for next year that we're going to be back at the Trade Center and have a big party for everybody. That's my goal. We'll see if the rest of the world will, comply with my wants. We have 11 of our 12 senior centers are open right now. Talbot County is the only one that's not open. They don't have everybody back, obviously, because some people are still more concerned than others, but the people that are coming back are really excited and they're happy about being there, to see their friends, to get out of the house. So we're really pleased with that. We're also starting back on our wellness classes. We're doing a diabetes self-management class right now in Randolph County. We finished up last month with 2 Tai Chi classes in Cordele at the Senior Center. And we are also working with Legacy Reserve, a new assisted living, independent living, very, very nice facility here in Columbus that just had their grand opening last week. And we'll be doing them for them. When we're not in the senior center, we charge $25 a person. We're getting anywhere from 8 to 10 hours worth of training. So $25 is a deal. The people at Legacy Reserve were like, oh yeah, sign me up. They thought that was great. So we're real excited about that. We will be having another lay leader training to train people to do the diabetes self-management and the chronic disease self-management class. You'll get certified in 2 classes. And when you start teaching, then we actually pay a stipend. So it's not much. It doesn't pay you a whole lot, but it's a little bit to say thank you. So if you know of anybody that would be interested in being trained as a lay leader, we will most likely do it here. It's a great way to give back to your community, to help them, because these are evidence-based programs and you make a little bit of money, not a lot. And then finally, I wanted to let y'all know that our ADRC, our Aging and Disability Resource Connection, in the last 13 months, the number of referrals that we're getting from outside agencies has doubled. And we have not increased the workload of the staff. As a matter of fact, we've got one going out on maternity leave the end of July, and we had another one that just had to go to part-time because of some personal issues. So, we are busy. There is not a lot of slack time, and trying to do things remotely and safely has definitely increased the workload, but our staff has stepped up, and I know they've done that throughout the regional commission, but I wanted to make sure y'all knew that. We have doubled the workload in at least one department because we measured it. Are there any questions? Thank you.
All right, let's go ahead and come to Sarah.
Morning. I just wanted to report on the COVID-19 EDA revolving loan fund. I have pre-applications from several businesses, and it's going to wipe out over $900,000 that we're going to lend out in the next month, 2 months, maybe 3 months. But I'm still taking pre-apps. Should another that's already approved drop out. So, and the regular revolving loan funds are still doing okay. Of course, the COVID money is taking precedence over that because it's 2% versus 4% interest. And we can defer the COVID for 24 months principal. So, and working with Jim on various projects such as the Georgia Association of Regional Commissions annual meeting that's coming up in November, and the Economic Development annual meeting that's coming up next May, and many conferences. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Anybody question, Ms. Sarah?
Sir.
Sarah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, Gerald, we got you again.
Mr. Chairman, activity continues at a rather hectic pace. Sly County was the most recent adoption of their comprehensive plan. They took care of that this month. We have 2 deadlines coming up in Iowa and Macon County in October. We've already started activity on 2 of the 4 plans that have deadlines in next year, 2022. If you do make time to check out the written report, we're further along with some of the pre-disaster mitigation plans that are listed there that indicates some of those that are under review or have actually been approved and are adopted. And we have 3 that I think are really in active development at the moment. Spring has been a hectic time for bicycle and pedestrian planning. We spending a lot of time, a lot of administrative time working with communities and amending their existing comprehensive plans with a broadband element. Broadband element related to the state initiative for greater and wider deployment of internet services. That's more and more in the news here lately, and we're spending a great deal of time, as I mentioned, having communities get positioned for their communities to be eligible for those competitive funds when they do come available. I don't see anyone listed about talking about our surge of activity related to community development block grant applications. That's an annual event that's added on to the other activities that we're undertaking. They even rob some of the planning staff to help prepare those applications, because that's a drop dead deadline, and they were satisfied June the 4th, I think it was. But there's a little bit of a breather there, but everyone has to get back into their regular seat and routine. A couple of things a little different that we have been doing here recently that we don't do on a month-to-month basis is cemetery mapping. Had a little project with Unadilla. We've done a few of those over the years, but that's a good service that we can provide. Randolph County and Cuthbert and Shellman have recently created the Land Bank Authority. So they're in the business of getting organized. We have met with them, and so they're starting to learn the ropes of initiating the implementation of what can be a very, very helpful development tool. So it has some widespread benefits, and look forward to working with them in the coming years. I'll stop with that, Mr. Chairman.
All right, Sharon, thank you very much. Seems like I've been pretty busy lately. All of you have. All right, Ms. Janice.
Good morning. We are finishing up this program year with WI enrollments of 139 individuals that have been in training throughout this year. We will start our new program year on July 1st. We will have the following activities for the upcoming year of on-the-job training, individual training accounts, one-stop services, and youth services in the area. And so we have those contracts out being signed right now. So our providers will be ready to start services on July 1st and kick off the year to a good start. We hoping that our enrollment numbers increase for next year. Our enrollment numbers for this year were greatly down, mainly due to COVID. So we're hoping the upcoming year is going to see those enrollment numbers increase as we start off that new year. We have looked at the unemployment insurance claims filed from March 7th of 2020 to May 21st of 21. There's been over 4 million unemployment claims filed statewide. The eastern counties have had 39,733. The western counties in the region have had 112,791 claims filed over that last month, mainly due to the COVID event, business and employee layoffs there. Unemployment rates for April of 21 for the region was 4.7. In April of 2020, which was at the height of COVID coming on, they were 10.1. So the rates are decreasing as businesses are opening up and individuals are returning back to work. So we hope that we'll continue to see those unemployment rates to decline and the unemployment insurance claims to also go down. Thank you.
Thank you for that report. Let's call on Jim next.
One thing I want to make sure everybody has on their calendar is, as Sarah said, the Georgia Association of Regional Commissions annual conference. It is at King and Prince, 1st of November. I think it's November 3 through 5. I think that's right. Dame, is that what we have? So King and Prince, November 3 to 5. We do like to have council representation at that meeting. It's important, I think, for you all to see the connections you all have to a statewide network of other regional commissions. And I know folks who have gone to these meetings have always gotten something out of it. You know, Sarah Lynn mentioned the work with Russell County. That happens because of our ability to reach across the state line and reach out to our sister organization, the Lee Russell Council of Governments. So there's networks like ours all over the country, and getting to know sort of where we are in the scheme of things in Georgia, I think is a great thing to do. This November conference is a great way to do that. So the Georgia Association of Regional Commissions annual conference, November 3 to 5 at the King and Prince at St. Simon's. Y'all have any questions or need anything on it? I am sacrificing Becky Holmes to the to be able to answer questions for you.
He sacrifices me a lot.
Well, if nothing else, before we adjourn, I'd like to say this has been my last meeting with y'all as the chairman. It's been indeed an honor and a privilege to have been able to represent y'all through these years. A lot of folks don't realize just how much work the River Valley Regional Commission does. They spend a lot of time, there's a lot of work in there, and then a lot of small counties in particular spend on these regional commissions. And I encourage you to continue to go to the meetings, continue to support the council, but also as a commission, but also to get involved a lot more with them. They do a very important job, and like I said, a lot of these small communities could not survive without them. There's always demands and deadlines constantly affecting the River Valley. You've got some good employees there, good leadership, and I appreciate the opportunity to have served. You got to know these folks personally through the years. They're very good folks and very dedicated to not only River Valley, but also to you in the counties and the cities in our community. Like I said, it's been an honor, and I'm looking forward to turn it over to Pops in the next meeting in August. That gives him a break in July to rest up the plan. And so he'll be ready for y'all in August, him and the other officer. Y'all be prepared to go to work. We'll hit the ground running. But also, too, I want to wish y'all a safe and very happy July the 4th. It's a lot different this year than it was last year. And I'm hoping and praying that we don't have to do this COVID no more. And I'm not really happy about Zoom land, but I can deal with it. But I'm glad to see us get back to person again. And once again, thank y'all for the opportunity to represent y'all and serve y'all. Mr.
We just want to thank you, Randy, for the job you've done.
Well, I appreciate that very much.
You did a great job.
Thank you very much. And now I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
That motion and second. All right, we adjourn.
Thank you all.
I should have said Miss Sarah's gonna retire over here. It's a retirement job.
Get out this sun.